Okay, good morning. Logistics start, this is the 7th meeting, by the way, so we only have 3 more. And on top of that, we have less than 100 days left until the Congress. So I have lots of fun, exciting updates for us. To be exact, we have 91 days left. And so we'll just jump into, just like the same format as the other meetings where we do logistics first so we can talk about the program last. Thursday, September 22nd, check-in and evening reception. Friday, September 23rd, the Mackenzie Marquette Alumni Center with the Student Union Building. Saturday, September 24th, same thing, except the evening will be the Sim Life Center. And again, that's the biggest change that we have as far as moving equipment. Sunday back at the Overton Hotel, and then of course our group block hasn't changed. Accreditation is still the same. Everything is on track for our initial goals. The subcommittees, we do have a new item today, so I want to spend some time on this. Dr. Kim and I have been meeting about a new software called QPath, and that is something that will help not only the Health Sciences Center, and Dr. Kim can elaborate more on that if you have questions about the specific software, but it will also help us in the World Cup. So it was suggested that we add an HSC Cup, so a mini World Cup before the World Congress, for 3 reasons. Logistics, of course, for us using this new software, the opportunity for the students to practice, and we just need to pick a date, preferably, I would say earlier the better, but then we have to make sure the students are in. So that I need your input on when you think we should have this basically test trial mini cup, HSC Cup. We haven't officially come up with a name yet. Are there any questions on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
start over.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. So the idea is we're having this to give our students a chance to practice and to feel out a new
software system. And Dr. Kim, if you want to elaborate on that, basically it's a cloud-based program that will.
Well, the main focus is local. We can go many different ways. HSC Cup is, since we will host World Cup during the World Congress, and Dr. Williams and also I had ultrasound interest of leadership. So their suggestion was, can we practice? We want to compete. So what we discussed is maybe we can run this HS Cup internally. So we give them an opportunity to practice. Also, we can select best out of the teams. And the QPath is just one of the logistics. QPath, and Dr. Alalawi will know the program, but this QPath is ultrasound compatible software, so you can review ultrasound imaging anywhere as long as you have a browser. So we want to take advantage of this technology. So one thought is, instead of having all the faculty locally, so when we have this conference and competition, we can at least someone from outside our facility, even the opposite side of the globe, so they can give or they can give their feedback. So that was one of the purpose. The other purpose of this QPath is QPath. So and I discussed. So they want to show this product for the World Congress. They offered us to free run trial. So even after this, we can probably use this for our medical student. Those are 3 purposes. So QPath is just one of the logistics to run World Cup or the HS Cup. So our question is, when will be the right time to run internally before the main conference?
would you want to have then our faculty for the World Cup participate as well? There'll be a practice for the faculty.
Yes, if you want. And
I don't
visit-
have-
I think
Yeah.
that's an excellent idea. Tom.
Yeah, that'll let us know what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
It'll help us look polished just overall. For the logistics standpoint, for the machines. Now, we are holding this for the World Congress in the Marquette Alumni Center. And so that's really the question, do we just want to hold it at HSC because it's easier for our students? Or should we actually replicate what we're going to do at the Marquette? We'll probably have new vendors there anyway. I've been talking to GE and they'll probably at least be able to provide 2 rooms. At the Marquette, we're going to, again, have 7 or 6 possibly, depending if we want to make one of those rooms larger. So we could try to replicate that at the Marquette, or should we just have it at HSC? Make it easier.
I would say HSC, make
I would think so.
make it easier
For the students and everyone.
Uh-huh.
And I think the only variable will be, obviously the internet is a completely different system, but that will be the IT people who will deal with that. So I don't
But
think.
that is problematic. I mean,
It is,
We've
it is.
done tenure and promotion things over there before, and they cannot link us up. I mean, we ended up having our people go over.
So do you think it's worth maybe sort of thinking about listing it at the Marquette? Or the mini trial?
You know,
It's just more to it.
I like the idea of making it simple for the students.
Sure.
On the other hand, I'd like to encounter whatever we're going to encounter
Counter over the Marquette.
here with our students first.
Well, I'll look, it'll depend on the availability, obviously, of the
Right.
venue, and then when we.
If it doesn't work, we're here.
Okay.
What about, I heard you say that we will have some of the ultrasound machines loaned to us, whatever, by vendors. Do we know how many yet?
That's the magic question. I have to, I submitted yesterday, actually, the official request to GE because there's a lot of documentation required
yeah.
that we've been discussing. So since it's kind of the perfect storm. You don't want to do it too early because our draft program isn't complete. But if we wait too late, we might risk not getting funding or in kind.
Question on
So,
vendors, are we limiting our machines to GE?
Oh, no, not at all. That's just one example.
I'm just curious, that's a
No,
question.
honestly, for a World Congress, we should be able to show any vendor that wants to come, and I would welcome that. It's just seeing what we can get versus do they only have the budget to do a booth and they don't want to do in-kind?
Have we looked at Sonosite? Is they're heavily involved with the hospital, Fujifilm Sonosite?
I've been in contact with them, and no one has confirmed a number yet.
Okay.
Because they're still trying to see, we don't have a main sponsor at the top level, which is 75,000, so that's what I'm really trying to get.
Right.
And then after that, I'll try to get them for as many machines in kind as possible. So that's why we don't know. But everything's been submitted, and actually that's a great point. We're gonna get to that in item 7 or 8, I believe, 6, where I have the list of all the vendors that I've been in contact with, and if there's someone that's not on the list, I need to know about it. So that's a great point.
Going back to the World Cup, I do have a question. Maybe a question that's probably been answered before, but the content for the World Cup, do we have the format final? I know initially we discussed it, I know I missed it a couple times, do we have like how we're gonna do it? What's the activity like? I mean, I know it involves scanning of some sort, potentially answering a question of some sort.
So
But
we
that's all I
haven't
know.
finalized it, so I'm gathering information from what we call Sonos Lab. It was done during the AIUM.
Okay.
Also, I'm trying to get some more information what they did 2014 in Portland.
Because the reason I ask that is, if we're going to do this HSC mini kind of dress rehearsal, trial, whatever run, we need to know exactly what we're going to do, and it would just be a smaller version. So if you're going to do 4 SPs, we're going to use 2 for the stuff like that. But we have to have the exact outline and format as to what the file.
Usually the round was first one is just a basic test was testing the knowledge of basic ultrasound, physics, something.
So is that like a multiple choice
Yeah.
question?
Or just, I think what they did is set up a couple of stations, then you can, or what you actually, before they do the scan, you ask questions. So they do the round robin.
Just
the
go
first
to the
one.
checklist and all that stuff.
And the second, more like the clinical or advanced clinical cases. So we will. That is why we will work with the SonoSim. So you have some SonoSim ultrasound simulation. So we can create the case with the live scan and the detect. So those are the format what they did last year. So pretty much first and second. First round, just the basic ultrasound in general. Second, more the clinical associated or the advanced knowledge. And finally, during the first and second, and if we use QPAD, if we have some scanning session, then we can add the factor. So give for the treatment, and we can pretty much tally score. So we can select the final 2 or 3 teams.
And give them more complicated cases. Makes sense. We probably will need to come up, I think, once we finalize the outline, is exactly how we're going to grade it. As in, you have to have a checklist, so just you go 1 through 10, any faculty picking up the grading sheet, ideally speaking, should be able to come very close
Yeah.
to the same score.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that they hold the phone with the marker up, I mean, that they stand next to the right or left or what, just checklist of how we're going to score it.
Yeah. So I think that so we can combine.
Just, I don't know how
I
to detail,
agree.
but that's kind of
So the
getting
local
close to the-
committee also can check and then give the score, but quality-wise, and then since if we have the QPAD, we will also have a faculty from other facilities.
Oh, sure, yes.
Expert. Yeah.
Also, the QPAS will also give you, multiple advantages. I mean, one is, not that they're coming question whatever, but say you're like, I had a beautiful scan, why did you score me a whatever? Like, yeah, let's pull up your scan and I'll show it to you and show you the gold standard.
Mhm.
I mean, it's an archival.
Yeah.
It'll give us an advantage to review scans, go back and do things and whatever with it. It's a nice thing to have.
So date-wise, and when will be the best for the medical school?
So if we're looking at July, and just to keep everyone on the same page, we're trying to pick a date for the mini World Cup. So we want to do a smaller version of that to just work out any kinks. And we're going to have the curriculum, like Dr. Kim said, from previous World Congresses. And so we're going to use that as our guide. But picking a date, I think, is most crucial.
How would
July. You think?
No, I was thinking, no.
Open for.
I know.
What do you think?
I'm thinking more like mid-August.
That's what I thought. So we
Reason,
have the freshmen.
the reason is you'd have people come in, get started, the summertime being slower time. It does take, even if you're getting the material from previous
Yeah, to revise it.
meetings, just revise it. Even if you don't revise it, just setting it up will probably take that long. I agree. Even if you take it as is and say, I'm going to need 1 SP or 2 SPs and get the group of students,
Okay.
even then I think it's got to get close. Yeah, even then it's tight. So I'm thinking more like the mid, somewhere in the 15-ish. I don't know what the dates are.
August 17th.
That's the date I'm not here.
Okay, not the 17th. Are you?
I'm
that
actually,
week?
I'm actually out for Congress meeting out of the country from 17 to end of August.
Okay.
So something like
Maybe the-
15, maybe.
Yeah, like
The 15th?
Or
Is it Monday?
early September, but early September is cutting it a
That's
little too
Yeah.
close to
yeah, it's
the.
too close. So probably like sometime between like 7 to 15 of August would be nice.
I think 15 would be good, because 15 being a Monday, right?
Okay, that's
You're
fine.
leaving on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, actually, yes.
Wednesday should be
right
best
after
for
that,
me.
yeah. So Monday
Have
would
they
be-
started classes by the 15th? I don't think.
August?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
August 15th? So we'll have students, which is key. We'll have faculty. August 15th, Amarillo, Odessa, do you have any input for the 15th of August?
For the students, thing, right?
At this time, I don't have any input.
This is for the mini thing, right? Mini cup thing?
Yeah, this is the mini World Cup, or we'll just call it the HSC Cup. Basically, we're just trying to get kinks out and then make sure that we have everything ready to go. So
I
will
could,
send-
I could probably be there.
That would be great. I will.
I cannot be there Monday.
What's
You
the
cannot
date
be
again?
there. I'll look
15th.
at the 15th and 16th for the Marquette, and then also some different venues as far as in HSC itself, so we don't have to go to the other campus.
We just have to keep in mind with the Marquette piece, whether we do it or not, we have to test this.
Yeah.
Just to test how robust our connections are. Do we have whatever before the real deal? I mean,
Exactly.
we have enough time to do that, but I don't think it should be late this one.
I'm sorry, I need to correct myself. I leave at 16 actually.
You live on the 16th.
Okay.
So maybe the 12th or 15th is Friday, bad day.
I'm not here on the 12th.
Okay.
I'm at the
So,
How about 15th or the 22nd? I'll look at those two.
okay, Mondays I will not be able to be there,
At
but
all.
Fridays I'm there anyway, so I can arrange my schedule to be available. Tuesday's an administrative day, so I can travel there if Tuesday's the day. Well, depends, you might not need me at all, but just so you know.
No, more hands on deck. Everyone is needed. But of course, if you do have something, we'll.
Yeah,
we'll
Monday
work.
is our clinic day, so it's very hard to leave town on Monday.
Okay.
How about 11 or 10 of
Monday I can do, Fridays are my block day, so.
I'll look at 3 different options, and then it will really dictate on where we can have it anyway. So I'll follow up via email with that, and then I'll also promote it to the students as well. Any other questions on the World
Now, is it
Cup?
going to be just first and second year students or all students?
All
students.
Very good. Any other questions on the World Cup or HSC Cup? Okay. On to marketing. Thank you, Dr. Williams, for providing that listserv. If there's any other members of our scientific committee that have access to listservs that I have not taken advantage of, please let me know. Dr. Kim and I are also contacting the Council of Deans, not just locally, but the AAMC. We are sending out postcards, and we just got a print proof for those. So I'll show you that. So it's very similar. The call to action is larger on the postcards with the website. And then, of course, the back's just a regular postcard that's going to be sent by our department in the basement, Swift Print. The second thing that we have as far as collateral is more for local, and then I can also send this out if anyone wants me to or has a specific school besides the ones listed on AAMC. There's a poster here, and for those of you at remote campuses, just showing you on the document cam. And I'm trying to make, again, the call to action as large as possible so you can see it in the hallways with the website. Because that's the most important. People, they need to be able to go to that website to register, and that's the most important thing. So that's what's new for marketing as far as collateral. Some additional things are we are having 2 official press releases. Press releases can't be done too early, so that's why they are on 7/25, and that's going to basically talk about early registration ending, because that's the biggest push for registration, which we're going to get to next. And then, of course, conferences around the corner. Around the beginning of September, we're going to have a VNR, a video news release. So that's basically packaged. So all local media and even national media can take those clips, and it's already prepackaged. So hopefully they're more inclined to promote this. So we have those scheduled with our marketing and communications department as well. Ongoing, of course, our social media, Facebook and Twitter, and then the last listserv of past congresses. If there's any other listserv that I am missing, please let me know. And again, thank you, Dr. Williams, for that. Registration. Appendix
Can I just-
1.
One thing we probably should do,
Yes.
because our most likely attendees are people who live relatively close to us. So we
Correct.
really should do a targeted recruiting at all the other Texas medical schools. We have pretty good relationships. You know, the Texas A&M just hosted the SGA meeting last couple of months ago. So we could certainly start sort of, and we supported that, so we should call in some of those contacts as well. So you mentioned the AAMC Council of Deans, but the Texas TMA Council of Deans may be a more appropriate group to target as well.
Thank you. That
And I can help you.
has that list.
I can help you find those, make those contacts.
Okay.
The other
I'll
place I
start
would
with-
suggest is the Rural Health Association. They have a lot of these types of courses, and I've had a lot of physicians asking me about doing training for them, so that would be another spot.
Rural Health Association, is that?
Yeah, Texas Rural Health. Yeah, Texas Rural Health is.
Thank you. And then I'll be remiss if I don't thank Myra. She gave me a list from the CME department of everyone in Texas and New Mexico. And that's, Myra, is that just every type of physician or is anyone?
Yeah.
It was a very cumbersome
Yeah.
position.
Every
And
physician
there were lots
has
of
a
people that were
license in the state.
deceased on the list, which made it interesting to have to filter. So we have TME Council of Deans and Texas Rural Health Association. Anything else before we move on? Okay. Registration. Everyone that has registered is in your email for Appendix 1. Again, if you are in this room, hopefully you're on the list. And if not, you still have time, obviously. And make sure that you select option conference staff or faculty, and you will have a waived registration fee.
For bio, you need just our CV?
Yes.
Just the CV, right?
If we've contacted you for a speaking, yeah, CV is fine. And then a headshot as well for the program. And even, we'll probably put the scientific committee meeting, or committee, excuse me, pictures in as well. So if you're on this meeting, I will need your headshot, and I probably won't put the whole CV because we won't have room in the program, but at least if you send it to me, we can use it as needed. Okay, we have raised so far $14,000. Again, the biggest push that I've seen in conferences is the end of early registration. So that's why we're doing that press release, and we're hoping to really get a large push towards that. Only 32 registrants and 5 exhibitors, and they're all at the lowest price point as of yet. So we have some room for improvement on registration pickup, but again, I'm not worried about it because people like to wait till the last second, and they were all inclined to meet deadlines. So it's like the deadline. Well, when early registration ends, that's my deadline. For exhorto and abstracts, if you are on the abstract review committee, I will hold that till the end to go into the list that is Appendix 3 to make sure if your status isn't ready to go. And I know some of you have been trying, but the emails will go to your spam mail, and some emails haven't been going through. So we'll review that after everything else. But just a quick update, 91 have been submitted, 5 pending, and 11 have been withdrawn. And on that, the important dates, and they have changed. We've extended to July 8th. Now we don't have to notify until the 15th, so if we can have everything reviewed by the 14th, then that would meet our deadline, if not earlier. Early bird registration ends July 31st. Again, that's the big magic date. That's when you will know, we will know, really the scope of the Congress. This is when we know how many we can expect. Because after the early registration deadline, typically you'll only see 30, at the most 45% more book after that point. Some people they'll just book anyway, but it's usually in that threshold. So I'm really hoping by July 31st we have a lot of registrants. Number 8, I touched on earlier, I have submitted an official request to GE. Thank you to Myra, who sent me that contact and all the documents beforehand, so I wasn't surprised when submitting. If there are any other companies that are not on the list, which is Appendix 2, Sodasim, Mindray, GE, if there's any that aren't on there, please let me know. We'll hold that.
Bryce?
Yes.
So there's a company that's called Tenex that does a procedure on muscle tendons that that is ultrasound guided procedure. And usually if they display, they like to do like a workshop with physicians. I don't know if they educate other people, but it's mostly physicians that are going to do the procedure. But I don't know that we would have a high enough volume of people that would be interested in doing that to try to pull them in.
Well, I can contact them and maybe they want to do an in-kind, maybe they want to just have a booth, or maybe they, I can at least
Well,
ask them.
I can contact them and just find out the details, but I didn't want to do the effort of it if it didn't sound like it was a good idea. So, like orthopedic surgeons would do it and sports medicine doctors would do it, but
And it's a workshop?
that's what they usually like to do, is to put on an education piece.
If we have room for it, I would say let's do it.
I can find out what their threshold is as far as number of people that they would want attending in order to do that. And if not, doing the workshop, if they would still just display.
And again, I don't mind submitting the paperwork for that. If there's an official form, just let me know. How do you spell that?
TENEX.
Very good. 10X. And they have equipment or software? Or
It's a procedure that you do, and with that procedure, it's an ultrasound guided procedure. And so they sell the equipment in order to do the procedure, and then they can do this workshop to certify you to be able to do it as well.
Thank you.
Doesn't Philips have an ultrasound scanner? Philips, should we look at that too?
Phillips. Yes, that's not on the list. Thank you. I've added Phillips.
Yeah.
Bryce, I previously gave you a card about Siemens. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, for some reason I don't see him on my list, but I feel like I've been in contact with someone. Oh wait, maybe they've registered. Because that's a different list. If you've registered, then you're not on my potential
Siemens
list.
basically previously was Accuzon. They bought Accuzon. Accuzon is actually one of the best one, at least in the cardiac ultrasound. I don't know about the other branches.
Well, they were the first color imager. Accuzon was the first color imager. They had this god-awful wedge that you had to load your lube in. If you had an air bubble, you had an aquasonic gap of what you were interrogating.
What was that company?
Siemens.
No, yeah, Siemens, but
Accuzon.
Accuzon is a
But
completely
that was the name of the machine.
Accuzon is basically Siemens.
Got it.
And I actually brought them here for demo when we're trying to buy the machine, upgrade our
Sonic
system.
View.
They had a demo
Is that
for
it?
us like 2 months ago.
I don't think it's Sonic View.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many machines.
We can.
I've been in contact with Siemens. For some reason, they're not on my list, and I don't know why. Probably just because I've had so many different contacts.
Okay.
But thank you for drawing that. So Philip, Siemens, Dr. Decker.
I'm looking at this, a lot of them. Sam and I will get together and give you a list of the companies that do the ultrasound compatible simulation mannequins or / mannequins, because there's a lot of them, like Blue Phantom, we use a lot of their equipment. They should be here, okay? So, and Laerdal, did you ever hear anything from them? I see you have CAI, but, CAE.
Here are the brand names for ultrasound machines: GE, Siemens Accusant, Mindray, Medicine Samsung, MetaWatch, Intersun, Philips HP ATL, that's all one company, Sonosite, and Toshiba.
And Terrason.
Together, because he has the names all together.
And Philips actually bought HP, so
Right.
HP before it was HP, Philips bought that one too. So most of our system in cardiac ultrasound right now, at least more than half of our machines are Philips. The other ones are GE.
Okay.
So,
Philips bought HP.
yeah.
They did have an interest in getting into the ICU world, which is where there's an opportunity to have income in this case. The Philips company.
Got it. Will you email me that list that you were just reading? Because I've only got some of those. Aki-san. And Dr. Decker, your staff emailed me some of those that you just mentioned.
Okay, and we'll make sure you get another list with, Ben. We'll have Jared pull the list together.
Okay. Yeah, he sent me 3,
Okay,
and I've been in contact with them directly.
okay.
Everyone on the list, and then for some reason those 3, because you just sent them to me right before I went on vacation, so they didn't make it on the list. They've
Okay.
been contacted.
Okay.
What was the one with the blue name in it?
Laerdal would be the other company.
Blue Phantom,
Dave?
Laerdal.
I've been in contact with Blue Phantom, Accusant, Blu-ray Terrason. You had a long list, so I'll go back to that.
Okay.
So, we bought that mannequin from Hotwork.
Hotworks, you know.
We asked them to
Yeah.
have a presentation.
So maybe.
What company was that?
Hotworks. Hotworks.
Hotworks.
The mannequin that we have here in simulation, our Simlife Center, we bought from them actually. And that is being used for ultrasound like transthoracic and transesophageal. We use them like
I'll update the list and email it back out to everyone so that way we can fill in the missing cracks if I miss something. And also, some companies bought other companies. I want to make sure I'm not duplicating effort.
CAE, that was me.
Touch and fly. Okay, back to the agenda. Okay, trying to leave as much time as possible, again, back to the program. So we've talked about all the things needed for submission. Some of those companies, I just send them a quick email and they have a rep that contacts me. Like I said, some are more official and require an official submission with documentation. So I'm happy to do that for you. Just help me with the list and I will follow up with an updated Appendix 2. Thank you very much. Now on to the program, and again, if you have to leave early, we will be discussing at the end Appendix 3. If you are on the review committee, we need everybody to be in the status of ready to view. Again, it's not that you haven't tried. There's some people, Dr. Joseph, that we've been in contact over and over, and it's not working on my end, so I'm trying to get that worked out, so that is on my radar. But if there's anyone else that does not get these emails in the pending status,
I mean, you will help because it's right. I don't know why I'm receiving pending.
Yeah, you.
Maybe I did something wrong when I
No,
was.
no, no. It's kind of confusing, and I think the other ones that are ready can. Well, I have a video as well, so we're going to show that at the end, so that way we can kind of try to consolidate that. So hopefully that will help everyone. And I sent the link to the video as well to kind of help you guide around in that. Okay, now to the program. Okay, so Thursday, registration, welcome reception. We are doing pre-conference tours this day as well. But again, that's not academic, just something to keep in mind. Okay, so we are going to start Friday with the chancellor, the president. In past conferences, I like to have an MC. And we have different people, but I'm thinking about hiring someone professionally to do this. What are your thoughts on that? Someone that might not necessarily have a science background, but can make everything run smoothly because they'll have a script and that's what they do for a job. What is your thought on that? Some people prefer to have someone, for example, like Dr. Hoffman, who knows everything about ultrasound and he can talk about anything on the subject, but might not know our local speakers or wouldn't necessarily have time to review a script. So my suggestion would be to hire someone to kind of be the MC for everything. Are there any thoughts on that? I just think it makes a difference.
Is it expensive?
No, it won't be more than.
I mean, we've only got 14,000 in the kitty, right? So.
That's true, that's true. That's why I haven't done it yet. I think that I can make that decision, of course with your input too, but after that early date, I can get a price quote and then see how many people have registered. But if we meet our goal, again, our goal is 300 people to be registered for this conference. I think that it would be a good investment to have someone be the MC for us. So just something to think about. It's not a final decision or anything, but just let me know if you have any objections to that. And again, of course, I'm always keeping the budget in mind.
You'd hire somebody local, or I assume you're not going
to? There's a few contacts that I have, some in Dallas, some in Denver. And the travel necessarily isn't, it would be part of it, but we have some other, like for example, a photographer that's coming from LA that's going to capture everything, and he's actually very reasonably priced because he wanted to come to Texas. So luckily, that's my background is event planning and wedding planning, so I have a lot of contacts that will come that.
I mean, we're not bringing in Jay Leno.
No. No, this is someone that you won't even know. It's just someone that is a professionally and classically trained actor. That it's basically someone that you've never heard of, but they do this for a living.
You don't like that guy?
No.
Okay, so no Jay Leno. Any other? So that's kind of more of the aesthetics of it and kind of keeping it polished. Because I'm all about having a polished product. Again, the main reason for this, of course, Dr. Kim spearheaded this, but the president agreed because, and put up money because, as well as the dean's office, they want to show off the university, and that's most important. And so we have to make it look polished. That's, again, why I'm suggesting this. Okay, back to the scientific aspect of it. We jump right into plenary session 1. Disruptive innovation for medical education and healthcare. And then we have these concurrent sessions going until lunch at noon. So history of ultrasound, point of care, and we have, I believe, Jeanette has confirmed. We have 52 confirmed speakers, and that's still with a few pending. So we have a lot of speakers. Basically, I feel very, very confident about the number of speakers. As far as the content, that's where you guys come into play. So let us know if we need to switch something around, or if you see that something that could overlap.
Can I say something? Hello?
Yes, yes, please.
So, I mean, I don't know, I apologize, I'm late at this party. I don't know how written in stone this agenda is, but it seems to me that the point of care ultrasound right up at 9:15 in the plenary session, if you look at the rest of the conference, there's a lot of repetition and all kinds of specialties for the point of care ultrasound, and the development of faculty resources at 3:30 is in a breakout or concurrent session. The way I'm looking at it, that seems to me is a very important topic to be in the plenary session as opposed to the point of care ultrasound, which really is specialty dependent. So, I mean, I don't know if this is a done deal, but
Not at all. No.
my 2 cents would be that those need to be swapped. The 9:15 and the 3:31.
Yes. The 9:15 and the
Point of care ultrasound.
So point of care ultrasound at 9:15 is in a plenary session, so I'm thinking people have not broken up into little groups yet.
Right.
But the 3:30 on page 3,
Yes.
where it says development of faculty resources,
Mhm.
that's in one of the concurrent sessions, and I think that that's a very, very big Achilles heel for a lot of universities, and that, I would think that that should be a plenary session.
Thank you. That's exactly what we have a scientific committee for. Other thoughts on that?
So now, with one issue, because it's going to be like the first day, and it's going to be morning session at 9:15. And I don't know if everyone is going to get to that session on time for that session. So maybe some later time, like the way it is, everybody is there because of the importance of the topic. So if you put it like early morning or first day of the conference, some people may not be there, basically.
That's a great point. So he
Yeah,
actually.
that's true. That's true. You can swap it on another day, but I don't think it should be a breakout. That was my point.
Perfect. And yeah, we're in agreement. We're just saying maybe not that specific time so we can have more people if they can't fly in on that
Sure.
first day. So
Sure.
we'll try to move that. Basically, you think that that should be a plenary, not a concurrent.
Correct.
Okay.
That makes sense. The point of care ultrasound is more of a small group.
Small group.
No,
And
thank you.
it's
I agree.
almost pointless to have a big group and talk about
Right.
I would also flip the one plenary history, I'd make that up front. I mean, one of the first, because first we talked that this there's some disruption going on because of it. Let's talk about the history and then let's move on.
That's a good idea. I like
Just
that.
give the history first
Give the
and
history
then
first.
disrupt
Right,
it.
Yeah, do the history first, lay a foundation. This is where we've come, this is
Yeah.
where we're going.
Then we have a breakout.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Where is history right now? Which page is it on?
I have it on
10:30.
page 2, and it's right here at 10:30. I have the document camera on. Hopefully you can see it.
Oh, gotcha.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yep. And so we'll move that, you think, to the earlier session, right?
8:30.
Yeah, 8:30.
The list of your workshop, I see basically every organ system except cardiac.
And you're talking about this one right here
The workshops, yes.
at 3:30?
Yes. Not only that, there's another workshop the day after.
Yep.
Other than the basic, I see basically every organ that we use here, I mean we teach here, except the cardiac. There was a cardiac before, but I don't see it in this one.
Yeah, I will tweak that, but we will add, so instead of doing the pulmonary ultrasound, we will change the ultrasound echo, basic.
Pulmonary is also important.
And you're saying cardiac?
Yeah, cardiac.
Cardiac needs to be added somewhere.
Yeah.
Pulmonary,
workshop.
just lump that. Add the pulmonary to
Okay.
because our assessment of shock or sort of
Yeah, that's
something
okay.
like that. That's where it belongs.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't have to, unless you're going to get Dan, I think we just doesn't. If you get him, give it its own thing. But
So,
if not,
that brings one very interesting question. So, he has expressed serious interest in, but the money we support him is not enough. So, if we can have maybe grand round in internal medicine, so I'm not sure whether they pay for grand round. Yeah, but he's the one starting off us money
Right,
or something.
right.
Worldwide. So he's very favorable. So, but
I mean,
we
just
still-
seeing him on a session, people will come to the conference who know.
So, yeah, we're still discussing whether we will support more so we can bring him to the conference.
See what,
Are you talking about Liechtenstein?
Yeah, legal stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
check with Dr. Lado because he does grand round schedule.
Well, Mara,
The-
Mara runs the grand round.
I know, but including
Internal
the
medicine.
Who would pay?
stipends and stuff like that. That's why I said check with
Oh.
Lado. You do this CME part, yeah.
So, but if you feel he is very important, as well as if he comes, if we can draw more attendance.
Again, those who know him, I mean,
Yeah.
indeed.
Do you think he's a big enough name to pay more than we've budgeted, is the question? Because he says he wants to come, but he wants more money.
Very focused. I mean, it's the group interested primarily would be the pulmonologist. I mean, anybody else is going to be, oh wow, that's interesting.
But if we think that's a big draw, and we can, plaster his face on some collateral, and it'll
I
make
don't know
people
that. I don't know
come.
it's that big. That's
But for the world of pulmonology, yes. You think?
the world of pulmonology. The subgroup who do ultrasound.
Which is 5 people or 500?
More like 5.
5 or 500.
Our group of 7, there's just me.
Okay.
So if that's an indication. That's about the right proportion.
Okay. So cardiac, and we have been in, like Dr. Kim said, in talks with Dr. Liechtenstein, and he is willing to come, so we're still negotiating on that, pending.
Now, these concurrent sessions that, again, those focused organ systems, some of them, they are not workshop. They are just talk and speak.
Yeah. And keep in mind, we have 90 abstracts that have been submitted, closer to 95 because there's some pending. We also have to fit in all those that are accepted somewhere in this program. And obviously, you're going to have a very short amount of time, but they have to be added to that. Dr. Decker?
Okay. I'm moving even past that, looking at Saturday evening,
Okay.
that at 7, on page 5, we have 7 to 8, the World Cup final round. We also have the tour of the Sim Life Center, and I believe there's a dinner with that. Are they conflicting? Is one before the other?
The dinner-
And that's so far apart.
Dinner and tour. Okay, so this is really, to be correctly labeled, is an open house. And so
Okay,
it's
yeah.
kind of take your tour. You can go grab a small hors d'oeuvre, and then there's going to be hors d'oeuvre stations all over. Because
Okay.
as we all know, the ACB is kind of hard to have a sit-down dinner, especially if you can't 100% guarantee on using the outside pending weather. So you're going to be able to go to all the different stations for food, and then pop into ACB 100 and see the final round going on, and then
Okay,
this is my
so it's going to be an open.
exactly an open concept, open house, very
Okay,
no
so this
scheduled
is-
tours. It's all an open house feel.
Okay.
And this is what Dr. Mitchell, the president, is most excited about because it's all the buzz and energy is going on all at the same time. And this is the first time they've actually seen the Health Sciences Center. So to answer your question, it's all going on at the same time.
Same time, and it's all over here.
All over here.
Okay.
We have to have everything going, all hands on deck at the SIM Center. Actually, and in ACB 100 or 110, which was the bigger
Okay.
one?
Yeah, either one.
We'll probably actually have both simulcast, showing what's going on in the other one, just so there's more room if they want to grab their plate and go
in, back and forth. Okay,
This
gotcha.
is the big deal for the president, why he wants to show this up.
Gotcha.
So actually, that's a great point. I'll rename that. Again, this isn't for the final program, but this is more of the open house.
Okay. So this.
And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you going to say?
I did have a question.
Okay, so that goes on to
Yes,
Sunday.
yes, I do.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
The abstract.
Yes.
Are we having every abstract presented as a oral presentation? Those accepted? Or are we doing those classified into oral versus posters?
That's a great point. So on the video that I'm about to show for those on the abstract review committee, you will get to decide, does this have enough content to be a poster, or should it be a presentation?
Right,
So
and
that's
therefore, therefore we won't need, well, depending on how many submissions we get, not all accepted will need a slot on
Exactly.
on the
Yeah, because if you're a poster, obviously, you're going to be
Just there,
upstairs with
everybody.
poster.
I just want to check, because when you say we have to fit all of them,
Oh, no.
wanted to make sure that we are having this distinction of, this is good enough for poster, not necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, we are not, fortunately, we are not forced to accept everyone, and we're not in a desperate situation, especially because we've extended the deadline. Well, we have more than enough already, even if we had closed registration for abstracts, that we have more than enough to fill. And that's still giving people a very short amount of time, 10 minutes to present. And of course, we have a lot of room for posters, so if we get a large influx, that's fine, we can handle it. We'll just be more, I guess we can be more discerning in our decision process, and I say we at the Scientific Review Committee for Abstracts, on who we actually allow to present. Sunday, we are all going back to the Overton. We're just going to have a half-day plenary session, no workshops this day, so everything from a technical aspect, besides a computer and a PowerPoint and a projector, there's nothing else needed on Sunday. And then everyone leaves. There's a few private meetings by invitation only, but basically we are done at noon. And as of right now, I'm not planning on serving lunch. Everyone's going to be hopping on the bus that we're providing for them anyway and heading to the airport. So we don't even have time to have lunch, especially because most people have connecting flights. Now, if for some reason we have a large amount of donors and we need to spend more money and we've already hired things, I might throw in lunch. But as of right now, at the Overton and their prices, it is very expensive just to rent an easel at the Overton. You'd be surprised. So I'm very hesitant to add lunch in just for budgetary reasons.
Get food trucks to show up outside.
That would be, the Overton would probably kill me.
Right down the street, though.
Well, that's an option. I won't rule it out. I just know how the Overton is about you have to use their food and beverage or else they will, I think, murder you. That's how they make their money.
Right.
Yes.
On the last day Sunday, probably that morning, probably around like 9, 10, a lot of people will be leaving actually.
Agreed.
So, but we have like that discussion that I see lots of people who are pretty big shots on that time, on that day.
By design, because we don't want to compete.
Huh?
By design, because I'm thinking the opposite of you.
I was about to say that's the typical thing that any major conference would do, is they would have an interesting enough session on the last day to keep you.
And you're saying people are going to be leaving.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't.
That's where you want.
That's why we did it.
A lot of them, they might not carry it. I was thinking that if we have that one with those people at that time, they would be probably disappointed to see that the participants are not that many.
Well, better book a day like later and stay in Lubbock another day. It's great for the city.
Yeah, I cannot speak for them.
Can I ask a dumb question?
No, not at all. There's no dumb questions. You
Okay,
can-
so on page 2, from 1:30 to 3, the session that says ethics,
Yes.
and then you have the same thing again on page 3 from 3:30 to 5. Did you really need to do that twice? Or is it a
That was-
mistake?
No, thank you for pointing that out, and it is by design. That is something that is very important to the president. When we met with him initially, he said there has to be a strong ethics presence, and we want to make sure that if it's in a concurrent session, that there's another time for people to have this exposure to ethics, because that's something that's important to him as far as initiatives for the university and
Oh, gotcha.
essentially globally. But thank you for pointing that out, because that could have easily been a mistake on my part, but it is by design.
Okay, because I was just thinking one of the things that potentially come up which are indirectly related to education is, medical, legal, and reimbursement issues that many people have to consider before they can implement these things in the clinic. And that seems to be covered nowhere. So if there was any area or slot of time that we could accommodate that might be something to look into.
So you're saying have 2 ethics sessions to satisfy what the president wants, but maybe have them different themed, one more of a general and then one specific to, will you repeat that?
Yeah, I mean, either we can incorporate in that. What I'm saying is when I do some resource development and trying to get other faculty or people who are not used to it, starting it, some of the impediments that we run into clinically is people are concerned about medical legal issues, what they need to be or certification wise or this or that, can they do it, those kind of things. And the second is reimbursement, because in today's economy people don't want to invest in stuff that's not worth the bottom line. So I think a session that addresses that issue it will be good information for people who may want to go home and say, okay, I want to do it, and I have resources for all of that.
To my mind, that falls under development of faculty and resources.
Say again?
That falls under development of faculty and resources, because that's a plenary
Right.
session, and you can have
Right.
multiple topics in the plenary, so that would fall under that neatly, just.
Right, right. If we move the
It's gonna be
faculty
touched on,
resources to plenary,
We don't know about it, but it can be thrown in there and see if somebody's going to talk
Yes.
Correct.
But those are quite common questions when we have conference, but on the scope, so if you think about the scope of this world conference, or like using ultrasound medical education, so the translating into clinical practice will be another question or
Yeah.
be specific.
and I realize that, but I think it's a reasonable idea that the session on development of faculty resources can touch on these issues rather than donating a whole session to it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's reasonable to kind of accommodate it that way.
Because at the very least, you're going to talk about the way the medical legal ties into it is what's adequate training. I mean, do you spend
Right, right.
2 hours with the ultrasound? Do you have to produce 100 images? Do you get proctored by radiology? And we got asked that when we went to Austin a couple
Right.
years ago. Those questions come up all the time. Who's qualified to teach it?
We'll see where we
Okay, now I
can.
shut up.
Luckily, for that session, we do have someone in-house that is going to be heading that up. So we'll consult with them and see what's best, where we can place that. But I think those are great points to not just repeat the same session, but maybe make it a little more in-depth or specific. Yes.
Right.
Looking at the posters, as you talk, that we have 90 abstracts so far, and you and I, a lot of those might be posters.
Right.
I would say if we have a number that we think we need to have 2 sessions, look at the open house we have here at the Health Science Center, and maybe we can add a poster session there. That would pull more people over here. It'd be another draw. So if you had the World Cup going, they had the poster, and then they had the open house of the Sim Center. There's 3 different activities.
The only risk doing that is,
Only away from the other one?
well, exactly, and that is, you either will pull away from
One or
the
the
World
other.
Cup, which won't be a good thing, or those presenting their posters will feel there's not enough.
Or could we do a poster
Or
prior to,
whatever.
and then move into the World Cup? I'm just wondering, if we have to have another session, where would it be good?
We just have to have enough. When it comes to posters, just they're not an oral presentation. There needs to be this time slot where the presenter or the poster person can be at least present to answer questions. I mean, for an hour slot or a 2-hour slot, you know that in this hour,
You can go.
they're going to be there.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk to the poster is there for longer than that. But
Yeah.
in this 1 hour, you know more than likely the person who brought the poster or the representative is going to be there to answer questions or tell you what's in it.
So like the professor leading,
Kind of something else where, I mean,
post session led by the professor.
Well, where you walk around and you can.
if I walk around instead of just looking at what the poster is, because if you think about people go to conferences to network, exchange ideas, get whatever, you want to have a time slot where this person,
Where this- well-
yes, they didn't present in an oral presentation because they didn't
Right.
get their thing, but
But
for that
yeah,
1 hour, they're there to
There.
discuss their poster, present their work to people who are interested or share ideas.
Because the first one we have at a lunch time too.
Yeah, you don't want
So,
you want it to have
yeah.
its own,
Not overlapping.
not overlapping.
Yeah.
And there really isn't, you're right, a lot of room during the times that we're at the student union building. Unless it's lunch or you skip a session. You'd have to do one of those.
Right, which means you have.
But you
people
want to
either-
have someone there with that poster so they can answer questions
That's true.
about what's going on.
Right.
And that makes it beneficial to them,
Oh,
and
definitely.
that way they're presenting their work, they're getting it out, and then networking.
Right, the problem with not having something like that is people lose interest in going to the conference. Like, I'll just send my poster, I don't even need to be there.
Unless they need it to have a
They-
time
they
slot
need
where
to be
there's.
there.
Right, and the biggest benefit is networking and talking to people.
Oh,
Right.
That's
completely.
so you want that 1 hour slot.
I've done them both where it's just open all day and then they go during the day, and it was okay because the conference was large enough, and I'm hoping that we have that mass, that critical mass. But I've also done it during just the dinner for a smaller conference, and it was a huge success because it's something kind of more casual. You're in the mood, and the day's over, and you can just casually kind of stroll through. So you're suggesting that we have this somewhere at HSC as part of that open
Well,
house?
maybe we look at, and this, I'm throwing just thoughts at y'all.
Right.
If we did say from 6 to 8 and had the posters from 6 to 7, and then the world, and food the whole time, where people can browse or whatever, and then 7 to 8 is the World Cup.
And keep in mind, we're going to have loud music there as well, because it's supposed to be a party feel too. But I'm planning on putting that in the courtyard. Anyway.
Courtyard, the music's in the courtyard.
Yes.
I mean, somehow I think we've got to get the posters a little bit more strength. Okay.
A showcase.
Because if I'm going to bring a poster and I'm going to spend the money to come here and I don't get a presentation, I get a poster, I still want to be able to
have that
present it
time to present it
and talk to others about it. And I'm afraid over lunch, people are going to run to lunch and not.
Especially, that's a great point. That room is upstairs.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a great point.
If that makes sense.
No,
Yes,
it makes
that makes sense.
a lot of sense. Thank you. That's why we have these committees, because you guys are brilliant.
Not really.
No, really, that helps.
Yeah.
What other things do you see? This is an important time. I know it is 9 o'clock, and there is some issues that I want to go over with
The abstract.
those on the abstract room.
You can leave.
I actually do have the video
Right.
ready. So let's just watch a little bit of it together. Okay, so this, again, if you have to leave, it is 9 o'clock. Thank you very much for your time. If you have questions about Exordo, that's what we're going to
When
look at.
reviewers log in, they will be taken to their list of submissions, as before. When they click on one of the submissions, they'll be given the opportunity to complete a review, but before they will be prompted to decide whether or not they want to review or decline a submission. If they choose to review the submission, they are then shown all the meta information about the particular submission, including the title, the authors, the abstract, the topic areas, and some additional information. Below that, they will be presented with your marking scheme. We've included the guide of the description for each category in line, and this single-click operation to complete scoring in each given category. You can also ask your reviewers to specify whether or not it should be an oral or poster, and also indicate their level of expertise over this given subject area. You can also ask the reviewers to define, whether or not this particular submission should be accepted as a preference. In addition to the defaults, you can also add additional columns here as before. Below that, there is an opportunity for reviewers to provide some comments. These can include detailed comments for the authors, which will be publicly available, and some private comments for the chair. Afterwards, they'll be prompted to lock their review, and once locked, they can no longer make any more changes. They'll be then presented with a scorecard view, which includes all of the scores and the comments that they provided. Once they've completed their first review, they can proceed then to review their second and third reviews, etc. We've also created a new download reviewer pack option. Many of the reviewers like to work offline, and in particular like to print out their abstracts or papers, and score them offline and then complete their scores online using the tool. For that reason, every reviewer can now download a zip file of a PDF of all of their abstracts, which will include the information and the marking scheme for that given particular review. Let's have a look at things from an administrator point of view. Things are very similar, although the top list of the card has changed slightly. We can see that John Smith has completed his review and all the scores on the top level, and we can see that Kaylee Nolan, for example, has not yet started and is therefore marked as 0.
And those are more from my perspective. What we need to work on right now, and I'm going to go through this just in case you're watching this post-meeting and you can't make this meeting, the document camera. Okay, so here we have, again, the list of those accepted and ready to view, and then those still pending. So I go into the system and invite you to set up the rest of this profile. Now, if you're already pending or you've accepted, actually, if you're accepted, you can go in by yourself because you already have your email and your password set up. If you're pending, then you're still waiting for that email from myself. And again, it goes to junk mail. So I will send it this morning or probably this afternoon, and I'll email you directly from my email first and then say, please look in your junk mail, and then I will go individually, either call or in person, until we get everyone set up. So don't stress about it because it kind of is, that's honestly the hardest part, is getting set up sometimes because of our email servers not cooperating. Okay, so what it looks like from your perspective, let me log in so you can see what it looks like. So you can get there just by our homepage, WCUME.org, call for proposals, and then submit your abstract. It'll take you to the login page. So obviously you're not submitting, you're just logging in. So even if this is your first time, you'll just go in, put your email, and it won't recognize it, so it'll say set it up, but of course I'm already set up. And then I put in my password, which I should have memorized at this point. And of course it has an option if you forgot your password. Okay, so we want to go to, and mine will look a little bit different because again, I'm an administrator, but in the reviewing phase, you will be able to configure review, and the important dates should already be there. I can change them. You won't be able to list of reviewers. This is where I can see your status, and when you go in, it'll look different again from mine because I'm not a reviewer. You will actually be able to pick your topics and what you want to review. So once that's all set up, it will say by your name ready to view. So that's what we want to get. If you get into the system, then you should be able to get it all set up as far as being able to pick which subjects you want. On my end, I'll go through and then allocate, for example, race does not affect ultrasound cross-sectional area of upper extremity nerves. I will go ahead and allocate that to someone who has identified as a specific subject that they're comfortable with. So once everyone is set up and the cutoff date is passed, then you will be basically allocated or given these different abstracts. And then it'll be just like the video where you'll have the user experience.
No, and someone from our support team will take you on a one-on-one demo. But first, let's take a look at the update. When the reviewers log in, they will be taken to their list of submissions as before. When they click on one of the submissions, they'll be given the opportunity to complete a review, but before they will be prompted to decide whether or not they want to review or decline a submission. If they choose to review the submission, they are then shown.
And again, declining doesn't mean that you're declining that abstract, it's just you don't want to review that specific one, either because A, you know that person, or B, you're not comfortable with that subject matter. It doesn't decline it, again, like that whole abstract. It's just that you don't want to review.
Where do we see the actual abstract?
It'll be in there, and you don't see them yet, not until I allocate them.
Okay.
And I'm going to do that once everyone's set up. So basically, for right now, all we want is for everyone to be ready to view. That's all we need right now, until the deadline of cutting off for the submission abstracts. Thanks. And that date here. So July 8th is our date for that, is when I'll be able to allocate everything. And then July 14th, we'll have everything reviewed, and then by the 15th, automatically, that's what's great about the system, it automatically updates the individual people that have submitted. So again, if you are not on the status of accepted or ready, we need to get you to ready, but if you're still pending, then that means that you haven't found the email yet and it's lost in Cyberland. And again, I'll be resending those. And then just let me know if you still haven't received it today when I send it. And again, I'll send an email from my email and then from Exhorto after that, and it will go to your junk mail. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.